What if I told you that you've been doing the 21-day Daniel's fast completely wrong? All wrong. And the scary part is, most churches taught it that way. But today, let me show you a perspective that might change the way that you fast forever. So hear me out. And no, this is not a sermon. This is just a brother sharing something quite revealing. See, most people copy the blueprint without actually decoding the blueprint, the scroll, and that's dangerous. Because we read the story of Daniel and we see that he fasted for 21 days and on the 21st day he received an answer. So naturally, people assume the formula is repeat the same prayer for 21 days until God finally hears me. But that is not what the story is teaching. Understanding is the key. Read carefully what the angel tells Daniel. Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to humble thyself before thy God, thy words were heard. Did you catch that? From the first day. Another version says, since the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and humble yourself before your God. Now pause and think about this deeply. Do you set your heart to understand while you're constantly talking? Do you gain understanding while your mind is still noisy? Do you hear clearly while you're emotionally panicking and shouting over your own spirit? See, this changes everything. Because the moment you pray sincerely, God hears you immediately. Not on day 21, not after enough suffering, not even after enough repetition. The first day. So then what exactly is the fasting for? You ask yourself. Most people fast trying to convince God. But God is not your enemy. God is your Father. He is your loving Father, your Abba Father. You are not trying to emotionally manipulate heaven into loving you. God already desires to bless you. Look at this. Psalms 35 verse 27, it says, let the Lord be magnified, which hath pleasure in the prosperity of his servants. Did you hear that language? He takes pleasure in your prosperity. So meaning, God is not in heaven enjoying your suffering. Let him suffer and waiting for you to suffer enough so that he can answer you. Nope. That mentality is deeply religious, but not deeply rational. And Jesus himself warned us about this. Matthew chapter 6 verse 7, he says, when you pray, do not keep babbling like pagans, for they think that they will be heard because of their many words. Notice, Jesus didn't say don't pray. He said don't think repetition is what makes God hear you. Because your Father, your Abba Father already knows before you even ask. Now, if this be the logic that we engage, then the entire Daniel's fast starts looking completely different from what we have been told and what we've been taught. Even Ecclesiastes says something very powerful. Listen to this. Guard your steps. When you go into the house of God, go near and listen, rather than to offer sacrifices of fools. Then it says, do not be quick with your mouth. Let your words be few. Underline the word few. Not because words are bad, but because listening matters more. And this is where most people miss the deeper part of fasting. Fasting is not starving yourself so that God finally notices you. Fasting sharpens your spirit. It humbles your ego. It quiets the flesh. It clears internal noise. It brings you into alignment. So now that we understand that God had you from day one, how do we make the best of our 21 days? It is simple. Day 1, write your petitions clearly on your notebook. Raise them sincerely before God, okay? Then pivot. Pivot into praise. Pivot into worship. Pivot into thanksgiving. Why? Because thanksgiving changes your internal posture. Notice I said changes your internal posture. The moment you genuinely give thanks, your mind moves from wanting to receiving. Let me say that again. The moment you genuinely give thanks, your mind moves from wanting to receiving. And this is powerful because most people who are constantly wanting, they stay emotionally trapped in lack. Let me say that again slowly. I hope you truly understand. People who are constantly wanting stay emotionally trapped in lack. But thanksgiving shifts you into the state of it's already done. I simply await its materialization. It is already done. I am simply awaiting for its manifestation. And that is faith. Real faith. Hebrews says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Now, do you realize what thanksgiving actually is? Thanksgiving is you emotionally acknowledging a reality before your physical eyes can confirm it. And that is why gratitude is so powerful. You are no longer begging like someone abandoned. You are thanking like someone already had. And notice something very interesting here. While repetitive begging is greatly discouraged, repetitive thanksgiving is everywhere in the scriptures. Read Psalms 136. Repeats, give thanks to the Lord. Give thanks to the Lord. Give thanks to the Lord. It repeats that 4 times in that chapter, again and again and again and again. And his mercies endures forever. It repeats that 26 times, over and over and over again. Why? Because thanksgiving anchors your soul. It stabilizes your spirit. So here's the structure. Day 1, raise your petition. Okay? Day 2 to day 21, pivot into gratitude and praise and worship and thanksgiving. And every time you hold that prayer list, instead of panicking, instead of crying about it, sing. Thank you, Abba Father, because you have already heard me, and now I am jumping and praising and rejoicing because you are now preparing to surprise me. Hey! Woo! Hallelujah! Worship. Then sit quietly, say nothing, and listen. Because some answers don't arrive through noise. Some answers arrive through stillness. Be still and know that I am God. And during those 21 days, protect your emotional atmosphere carefully, because distraction is one of the enemy's greatest weapons. Avoid environments that constantly pull you into fear, anger, guilt, jealousy, shame, hatred, regret, confusion. Because once your emotional state becomes distorted, doubt enters immediately, and suddenly you start saying, will this fasting even work? That is the trap. So protect your peace. Protect your attention. Let me repeat that. Protect your attention. Protect your inner state. And honestly, if you do it this way, you will probably start seeing answers far before day 21. But still finish the fast, not because God needs it, but because you do. Because somewhere between the silence, somewhere between the gratitude, the discipline that you put in, and the stillness, you will realize the greatest thing that God was transforming was never just your situation. It was you.